Scott Harvey.
Pass around a picture first off of my dad and me from this summer, taken back in September. So, one of the biggest decisions I ever made occurred June 21st, 2014. That decision had been on my mind for a long time, my entire life actually. That was the day I met my dad for the first time in 23 years. That journey began a few years ago when I got to know a mutual friend of my dad's, and we developed a sense of trust in each other. And after a while, when I realized that he didn't have an agenda and I learned to admire him, I decided to make that next step. And we set up a meeting. He was there, which was really special. I thought that gave me a sense of comfort that day. Of course, some of the things that went through my mind during that day as I got to go into the meeting that we set up at 5 o'clock that afternoon was, what was my dad going to think about me? Was he going to be proud of who I was as a person? Was the relationship going to even work out? Those are certainly big fears I had, because you want it to be a storybook in it. You want it to be everything you've hoped it would be. And it was certainly a burden that I thought if I didn't make that decision, if something happened to him tomorrow, I would probably live with the rest of my life with a strong sense of regret, not knowing. And that sense of not knowing probably was bigger and gave me a sense of courage to know that I had to do it. It was the right thing to do. And when I made that step, I knew I could overcome anything in life, and I knew that love there are no boundaries to what love can accomplish in this world. To him, he had a clean slate with me, and I saw it as a fresh beginning, and it's a relationship it's been unbelievable. There are a number of memories that really exemplify, I think, who my dad is as a person, his integrity, and his love toward me and others. And some of those memories have occurred throughout the year, starting with July 4th when I went down to the beach and spent the weekend with him. His neighbor had a sunfish, and so I went out sailing that day, and that brought back a lot of memories for me growing up as a kid. That's one of my passions, is sailing. And I told him afterwards that he was the first one adult in my family. My parents and my grandparents had never seen me sail, just my brothers. And one of the special moments that occurred was I asked him to help me put the rudder on, and just sitting there working with him and me together, that was really unique and special in a lot of ways. I celebrated my birthday for the first time August 2nd this summer too as well, with him at the beach, and that was really neat. Just his wife Ann made a really great cake. And she's been very accepting for me. She's been very accepting for me from day one, and she's made it very easy to have that relationship with my dad. I didn't know when his birthday was until the day we met, back on June 21st, and ironically it happened to be a week later from mine, August 9th. Really easy to remember here on that one. And I celebrated his birthday as well with him that night. And during the fall, another memory that stands out for me in particular was when we went fishing down the beach. I was been longer than it should have been trying to throw a rod and reel, but anyway, when we were out there for like 3 hours, and the 15-minute interval where there were actually fish, you could actually see them around the boat, these redfish. I cast out my line, and it goes around the engine of the boat, and it probably went like 3 feet. It was embarrassing. And I thought, man, he probably thinks I've never even seen a fishing rod before. And he spent, if it was me, I would have just cut the line and been, you know what, I'm not messing with this one. But he spent 15 minutes untangling the line, and he gave me his rod, and he said, well, here, you use my rod and fish. And of course, I didn't catch anything, and he probably should have been the one using it instead of me. And we spent another hour and a half out there after that, and I got a little bit better as the afternoon went along here. So I thought his patience and he was very non-judgmental of it and didn't complain one bit. I couldn't believe how calm he was. And later on that day, I wanted to back out the trailer, and I got it really stuck, and he said, well, Scott, why don't you let Bob here over at the store park it for you? And I was so embarrassed because you want to please your dad. You want him to think you're perfect at everything. And I'm good at some things, but I wasn't good at that one. But I got this summer to work on it. And the other memory, the final memory that really stands out most is when I got really sick, and my dad had to take me to the urgent care, and I had to get an IV, and I was sick for 3 days. And then I went the next night and had 2 IVs at the ER, and I had like a fever. I had like 102-degree temperature, couldn't hold down fluid for 3 days. And it was awful. And I stayed Saturday night with him after I got back from the ER, just to make sure, I didn't want to go home, and want to make sure in case I had to go back again for another IV, he would be there, him and his wife. So it's been a great journey so far, and I look forward to so many great memories coming up, and it's been more than I ever could have dreamed of, and it was the best decision I've ever made. And it's been healing for everybody, and just to say I love you, Dad, is life-changing in itself, and hearing him tell me that is, I can't imagine how healing it is for him as well. So I encourage everyone, if you have a big decision, don't sit on it. It's not worth having regret. Knowing is always better. Thank you.